Hello, I am the Tinkering Turtle, and today we're going to put a new seat on my wife's bike. Not too long ago, well, when she got the bike, we switched her over to a Cloud9. But the problem with that Cloud9 is that it had the long springs under the seat. And when the suspension that we put on the seat compressed, those springs would go down and the nut would hit on the bike rack and it would tear up the paint. So today I'm going to put on a different Cloud9 seat that doesn't have that problem. Let's get into it. So here's my wife's original Cloud9 seat. Then you can see it's got the springs and it's got the nuts on the bottom, but when this Splumser suspension compressed, and it would come down and it would hit on the bike rack. Now as you can see, I have it shifted forward right now so it won't hit so easily, but I'm going to take this seat off and replace it with the new one. And here's the new Cloud9 seat that I chose. As you can see, it doesn't have any springs on the bottom, so it shouldn't have the same issue as the other one did. So I'm going to start changing it now. So the first step is to take off the seat post. And this bolt is always pretty tight, so you gotta take your time, get the Allen wrench all the way down in there. It's kind of a bummer this happened because the seat's still in really good shape. Now one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark on the suspension where the clamps are so that I can get it back in the same position. I'm going to do that on both the top and the bottom of this Splumser shock absorber, which I will put in the description of the video. The next step is to get this bolt off. I have these cranked down really tight because one of the problems I had is this thing did slip up to the back of the shock absorber. I don't think I had it tight enough originally. So that's why I'm having to put in the extra effort here. Okay, now that's off. Now I'm going to have to take this original seat post attachment off because I don't be using that, I'll be using the bars. Take off the nut, take out the bolt. What I like to do is put it all back together the way it came off, so if I ever do want to reuse it, I'll know exactly how it goes together. So now make sure my lines are marked on the bottom shock absorber here in the right place. I'll make sure this is slid all the way back to the bars, to the back of the bars here on the seat. And that's where it was. So I should be able to get the seat in pretty much the same position that it was when I just took it off the bike. And I'm going to make sure that I crank this down nice and tight because I don't want it sliding on these bars again. And I will put the link to the new seat as well as the old seat with the springs, the Cloud9 with springs and without springs. I'll put those both in the description of the video as well. I mean, the seat with the springs works perfectly on my my bike with that Sun Tour, suspension, but the Splumser suspension just doesn't do as well. Okay, so now I'm gonna put the seat post that right way. Goes on like that, like this. Okay. I'll find my mark. Another thing I did is before I took this off, I took a little razor and I etched in where the angle for the seat was on both this piece and this piece. So now that I can realign those so it's in the same orientation on the bike for the saddle. That way when she gets back on here, it feels as much like her old seat as possible, because this suspension took a little bit to adjust and get in the right place. So let me double check. Need to slide back a little bit. So now I've got the marks here at the right place. The mark that I put on this is in the right place. So now the seat should be virtually in the same position as when I took it off. A little dusty, but that's it. Let's go put it back on the bike. Now my wife's pretty easy. You just put it in, you slide it all the way down to the bottom. It's the original seat post, so you don't need a shim or anything. And then you clamp it back down. And that should be pretty close to the way she had it. If not, we'll make some slight adjustments when she gets a chance to ride it. But there's the new seat. I'll let you know how she likes it later.
It's super far forward. When I'm riding it, I'm just scared to get off of it.
So how is it? Is it in good position?
For riding, yes, but getting on and off, there's not much clearance between here, so for me
I need to
fit,
slide it back?
Yeah, I can't fit between here.
I'm thinking maybe this is a longer seat, so maybe if I slide it back a little bit, you'll be in a good position.
Yeah, it feels good to ride on it.
Okay, thank you. So she rode it, but with the configuration of the seat compared to the old one, it was definitely further forward on the bike, and she had trouble getting on or off because the nose of the saddle was in her way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide it back a couple inches on the bar and get it adjusted so that that isn't an issue anymore. Now the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to slide it forward on the bars that are on the seat and keep the clamp positions on the suspension the same place. That way the amount of flex and bounce is similar, but I should be able to give her a better seating position. That's on nice and tight. Slide this back to my marks. Thumbs up?
Thumbs up.
Nice. So as you can see, we got the seat adjusted, slid back where she could get on and off easier. It still has the same amount of spring because I marked on this Splumser suspension exactly where it needed to be. Now I'm going to touch up the paint on the rack. I'll just take a paper towel and some black paint that I have and squirt on that just to cover up where the aluminum's been tore up from the other seat, and we should be good to go. So I'm just gonna do this quick and dirty. I just have a can of black paint and I have a shop towel. I'm gonna slide the towel under here so I don't get it all over stuff and just got it all over my thumb. And that's all I'm doing, just putting a little bit to cover up the aluminum. I want to point out the only reason that we had to make this change is because Lori, being shorter, she's 5'6". The suspension is right basically at the bottom. So, I mean, it's down as low as it can go. And the suspension, when it was bouncing with the those longer bolts, it would tear up the bike rack. Now that she's got these shorter pads on there, that won't be an issue anymore. But either way, it looks like it's going to be a good change. So now the exposed aluminum's covered up, the seat's in the right position, I've got everything adjusted so she's happy. We're going to take it out for a ride in a little bit and make sure it works perfectly, which I'm pretty sure it already does. Thanks for watching the video. If you like it, subscribe or come back next time, whatever you want to do, and I'll catch you next time.